This just in. This is called Mediaite. An update: 4 victims killed by shooter at a Mormon church in Michigan. This is Sunday, September 28, 2025, 6:13 p.m. It's about a 2-minute read. You'll see a still frame photo of a Chevy, I believe it's a Chevy pickup truck, or it looks to be. It's a pickup truck. It has 2 American flags in the back, and it has a fire department officer or staff that is trying to put a fire out. So the death toll from the shooting at a Mormon church in Michigan climbed to 4 victims on Sunday evening after local police said 2 more bodies were pulled from the wreckage of the church after it had been set on fire. Another 8 people were injured in the attack, according to the update from law enforcement. The suspected killer was 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, who was also killed after confronting officers. Sanford, according to the police, plowed his Chevy truck into the church before entering and firing. Hundreds of people were in attendance for Sunday service at the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in Grand Blanc Township, Michigan. A fire was also set at the church, which authorities believe Sanford started, and it appeared to be set with an accelerant of some sort, like gasoline, according to the New York Times. Sources told the New York Post earlier on Sunday that several improvised explosive devices were found at the church and that a bomb squad had been brought out to investigate. Sanford was 40 years old, a former Marine who served in the Iraq War between the years of 2004 to 2008, according to the post from his mom's Facebook account. He was a resident at Burton, Michigan, which is about 8 miles from where the attack happened. So, in politics, now this is not coming from me, President Donald Trump, shortly after the shooting, said that it appeared yet to be another attack against Christians in the U.S. Another attack on the Latter-day Saints Church comes from a month after the deadly shooting at an Annunciation Catholic school in Minneapolis. President Trump has said that he wants his second administration to focus more on anti-Christian attack and bias. Here is what he said during a speech at a museum of the Bible in Washington, D.C. earlier this month. So there's a tremendous anti-Christian bias. This is what he claims. We don't hear about it, but you hear about anti-Semitic, but you don't hear about anti-Christian. They have a strong anti-Christian bias, but we're ending it rapidly. I will tell you, we're in a much different world today than we were a year ago. So that's pretty much the articles. This is coming from Trump. That is not from me. So that's the article, and in the still frame you see the Chevy pickup truck. It had 2 American flags posted on the back. So from what I heard, based on some videos that I had watched about the shooting, that they were still investigating the shooting, and they don't blame it on any specific motive as of yet. They're still investigating. And what I also saw is that the church looked like it was burnt to the ground. So it's true that he used an accelerant and the church was set ablaze. And that also I wanted to add in here the comments that Trump has made. Trump's new order takes aim at the very foundation of political free speech. So in a memo, Trump, he sweeps together speech and associated it in its definition to domestic terrorism. So I've read a couple of other articles where Trump is going to go after Antifa And he's also going to go after people who want to speak out on issues of politics that they feel, if you have personal feelings about it, or if you want to speak on social media about it. He's labeling people to be domestic or would be domestic, invoking or inciting domestic terrorism. So be aware of that. There's some executive orders that he's put out. Now, I first heard this on TikTok, believe it or not. And so I said, let me do some investigating myself. And believe it or not, that's number 2 fact that someone mentioned. I guess forewarning people about these executive orders, and in the way that they had mentioned the executive orders to be more, instead of about domestic terrorism, more about silencing people's speech and free speech, and also going after people like citizens more about speaking out on their personal political ideas of what they feel is happening in their society today. So if you have any feelings about or try to express or voice your opinions, he doesn't want those if they don't come in line with what he believes. That's what it's sounding like. And so that's also this thing, this push to go after Antifa. He made an executive order as well on that. He also wants to dismantle left-wing groups, which he claims they're far left-wing radicals. Now, I didn't get a chance to read into this article as much, but I read parts of it because there was a lot of interruption in the article. And I know I heard from the past that Trump has problems with being in agreement with certain journalism. And I'm going to say this: if the journalists don't have the same similar ideologies as Trump, he tends to go on the warpath on those particular journalists. And Huffington Post is yet one of them, of many who have been in opposition with his policies and have written about a lot of different things like bills and executive orders and other policies that Trump has, and they've spoke out on it with opinion pieces and various facts that they've come out with. And so if it isn't in line with what he believes in, then he I won't even say he goes on the attack. So it says Donald Trump's crackdown on political dissent is here. The new executive order sweeps speech and association into the definition of domestic terrorism. In short, words are violent. So just saying something, if it isn't in line with his ideology. And also you got to be aware, guys, anybody that has been on TikTok, if you've been on that social media platform, if you say anything against the man Charlie Kirk, if you have personal opinions about the whole incident, people who are followers tend to try to dig in your history or try to learn about you with the intention of trying to cancel you in some type of way, or get maybe your page taken down, or they don't want to hear what you gotta say. So it's okay for them to voice their opinions, but other people can't voice their opinions if it's in opposition with theirs. So I call that's more the death of free speech. Jay Leno spoke out about people not really liking, some of the ideology that was spoken on college campuses by some former individuals who are no longer with us. He said it was the death of free speech. I feel like the death of free speech is pretty much listed here in this article. So there's random pop-ups, and I believe they control what articles are able to be seen and what articles aren't able to be seen. So they're manipulating the media, you guys. So be aware of this. And they probably also have people that are, trolls, right-wing trolls who go on the warpath because they don't want to hear the truth about other people's ideas and opinions and then facts. When they come with receipts, they don't even want to look at that, even though there's valid receipts of different incidences. So just be mindful of that. So this right here, it outlines some of the problems that have been going on. I'm not going to go down in here because I found this Huffington Post article, and if you've seen that pop-up, I believe that's on purpose because they want to make it so complicated that you can't even read the articles anymore. And so they're trying to police what articles are accessible and what articles aren't. So I'm going to say this. If you look right here, you can see Trump's move against Antifa. When does political violence constitute? Blah, blah, blah. That's an article out of Los Angeles Times. Then there's Reuters. Trump says he will sign executive order to dismantle left-wing groups. The Center Square via Yahoo. Cato scholar calls Trump's Antifa executive order idiotic. So that's not my words, but that's somebody who basically voiced their opinion on the whole thing. So yeah, it's a fight. It's a constant back and forth battle with this whole thing. And then you see the Trump administration has finally defined Antifa. The Colombian says what to know about after Trump's classifies decentralized Antifa movement. President Trump on Monday signed an order designating a decentralization on the movement known as Antifa. So this is what's happening, and it's becoming more of a dictatorship and a regime rather than democracy. So what recently I noticed came in the mail is this, I think there's an election coming up, a local election for November 4th on, I think it's Proposition 50, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it's Prop 50, and so they're giving out sample booklets, references on what that whole proposition is about, and it has to do with redistricting. Also, I've been hearing some more. I'm just throwing some things out that I've been noticing that's been happening. They've been saying, they as in people that have been voicing different opinions about what's going on, that there's social media sites, Roland Martin, there's different black social media platforms that have been talking about the redistricting, how they're also trying to make it harder for people to vote. So, and that's what Proposition 50 is about. So, yeah, so it really outlines a lot of what's going on with this new proposition that's coming up, and I believe it has all to do with what's going on with redistricting, and yeah, it has different pros and cons. So the Election Rigging Response Act approves. He goes on, it says temporary emergency congressional district maps to counter Donald Trump's scheme to rigging the next year's congressional election, and reaffirms California's commitment to independent, nonpartisan redistricting after the next census. So it's telling or promoting voting a yes on 50 for democracy in all 50 states. And then it tells you to learn more about it. The con of when if you pick no, what it does is it's this Proposition 50. If you vote no against it, the politicians dismantling safeguards that keep elections fair. It removes requirements to keep local communities together and eliminates voter protections that ban maps designed to are in favor of political parties, and vote no to protect fair elections and keep citizens, not politicians, in charge of redistricting. So you can read more about it. So I don't want to say that I'm influencing anybody in terms of that, but that's if you vote in those ways. So somebody might come out with other ideas or how they feel about it. And maybe some people, I don't know if you're a person that votes or doesn't vote, but these things came in the mail. But I know that is coming up. And then I also heard that there was some kind of agreement on TikTok that it would become U.S. owned, and it was going to be owned by someone who's a loyalist of Trump, and that he has a lot of money, and that also I heard a lot of people saying that they're worrying about being surveillanced and silenced, and also your private histories online on that site being viewed. I think it's not even just that. What I noticed when I went on that site, because I was on there, is a lot of people make money on TikTok. They make money selling clothes, selling items, selling goods, and I think they want control over that, the monetary part of it. And I think that's one of the biggest things, if not just looking and viewing who people are. I think it has a lot to do with the fact that people are able to make money, because you hear people bragging about how much money and a check that they get off TikTok. And also people bragging, telling stories. I was looking this weekend, and one young lady said that she had gotten arrested because she was getting food stamps and working a job, and she said, food is expensive, but she was ordered to pay $35,000 to $36,000 to the government in back food stamps, EBT money, because she had basically fraudulently said she was homeless, which she wasn't, said she didn't have any money and she was working a job. She was able to use her own money to get food, but she chose to falsify information on an application. She went a step further and said that she was telling people on the platform TikTok and other platforms, if you want to get extra money to get food, just lie to the government and tell them you're homeless, and then they'll give you EBT. And I'm like, why would you do that? So somebody turned her in. So when she got a phone call and a letter, I guess something telling her that they had caught up with her activities, and that they had word that she was falsifying information, and she said shortly after she was arrested. So there were other videos that were surfacing of people who were basically, I would say, duping the government. And so those were pretty alarming. I was thinking, wow, not very intelligent individuals to do things like that, to basically tell on yourself. And then not only that, if you're working, why do you want to put yourself in a predicament like that and get caught? Now you're locked up. You're going to lose your job. You really are going to need government assistance. And with what's going on right now, he's cutting. They're doing a lot of cuts. And so with that being said, anyways, those are the things that I've learned over the weekend, outside of all of this craziness. But yeah, so back to the original article. Yeah, so this was the pickup truck, and this was the update I had. So I'm sure that as time goes, or hours go along and days progress throughout the week, we're going to hear more about the motives behind the shootings, and if they were in fact, if it was mental illness, whatever, what have you. But the way the story is being spent in politics, we know it's pointing fingers at specific people so they can get targeted. It's what it's sounding like to me. So with that being said, I'm gonna let this video end, but I don't believe that's the only reason. I don't believe. Now, I will say this before I do end this video. There has been pushback on faiths. It's not just Christians alone. It's Christian nationalism that is that deals with white supremacy. So he didn't mention that. It's not just any Christian that is out there. So he failed to mention that. So let me make that clear, that a lot of people are pushing back on these groups that promote hurting other groups in the name of weaponizing faiths and Bibles and shoving it down the throats of people, saying it's in the name of Christianity when people know it's politicized as white national Christian belief. And so that's more what they're against, not just any Christian that's out there. But anyway, I'm going to allow them to do their investigation so we can get more of what's going on with this.